to everybody out there listening, and welcome back to another episode of the Cards for Kids podcast. I'm your host, David Egloff, and I'm really excited about the interview we have for you guys today. Now, this podcast is brought to you by Cards for Kids, where we uplift spirits one card at a time. Don't forget to check out our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, the company website. I promise any little bit of help that you can do makes a huge difference. And with that, let's take it on to our interview for today. And for my interview today, I'm here with Kyla Brown and
Reith.
Kari Reith. Could you each, and we'll start with Kari here, can you each just give a little bit of background to the audience as to who you are and how you're connected with Cards for Kids?
So yeah, I'm I'm an epileptic. I actually got started with Cards for Kids because Ike and I followed the same group on Instagram, and I saw his story posted on the Epilepsy Positivity group on Instagram, and I loved his story. And I ended up DMing him and asking if there was anything I could do to help in any way. And I let him know that I was here in Phoenix, Arizona, and that's just who I am. I told him that I was also epileptic and that I loved his story and that I wanted to help in any way and to let me know what I could do. And that's how it got started. And it just was just a conversation between us. And he let me know that he's been trying to connect with a hospital here in Arizona. And if there was anything I could do, that would be great. So I got him connected with a hospital here in Arizona.
And I think that's going to continue us on with our story. Kyla, if you could please give your background. I think we're going to pick up right where Kari left off.
Right. So I'm Kyla Brown. I am a child life coordinator at Valleywise Health Medical Center. And we also have the Arizona Burn Center, which I believe Kari was a patient at, and that's how she's familiar with our organization. But as a child life specialist, our goal is to provide normalization for the kiddos and really just to help make their experience more positive while they're in the hospital, help them. It can be a really foreign and scary place for kids with the unknown equipment, strangers, the people who are poking and prodding, and it's all really different territory that they're not used to. So our job is to kind of help navigate that experience, help them understand what's going to happen, and also just to provide as much as we can to make their experience more positive. So we incorporate a lot of play and different things that kids are familiar with and that will recognize.
And thank you both for joining us today. Kyla, we'll go with you now. Keep on going. If you could, please read your motivational quote that you brought with you today. I love quotes, so I'm excited to hear both of yours.
So my quote is actually by Mother Teresa, and I felt it was really fitting for today, just talking about Cards for Kids and just the impact that they have. So the quote is, we ourselves feel that what we are doing is just a drop in the ocean, but the ocean would be less because of that missing drop. So I feel really touched by that, because sometimes even when you're looking at the world and there's so many things that you're like, so much negativity around and things happening, you're like, gosh, what can I do and how can I help? Like, what one person could do would be that impactful, but you don't realize that if you do a little bit, everybody else does a little bit, it all adds up to be such a huge impact on people. And so I feel like this one was fitting, especially for Cards for Kids, because it is, it's such a simple idea, and I love the simplicity of it, that cards just bring so much cheer and happiness. But really, when you come to the scale of what Cards for Kids has become, that it's really touching and motivating and really helping a lot of people out there throughout the world.
I love the quote, because I feel like you can almost replace the metaphor for cards. Somebody out there is just saying, there's so many cards out there. What would one more card really do? How much joy could that one more card really bring? But it really does help. Like, that one more card will go to somebody, and it will be that one more drop that makes that ocean 1% better and more full.
Absolutely.
Now, Kari, please, if you could, please read the quote that you brought for us today.
It's actually by Mother Teresa too. Um, I love her. I honestly do. She was one of my favorite people who ever walked this earth. And her quotes are amazing. But one of my favorite is the world is changed by your example, not by your opinion. And it's, to me, that especially in today's world, everybody's got an opinion. But very few people are actually taking action. And I think that that's one of the most beautiful things about Cards for Kids is that they're all about action. And it's just beautiful to see. It's not about it's about putting love in a kid's life. It's about putting love in their hands. It's about showing that, you know what, we may not be able to tell you you're going to get better, but we're going to be able to tell you to have a great day and smile. And and just the action of just showing a little bit of love goes a long way in somebody's day. And it just, literally from the top down in this organization, love is just permeated through. And that's one of the reasons that I loved it. I wanted to help it. I wanted to help this organization in any way that I could. And especially after I talked to Ike, it was like, yeah, absolutely, I had to help. So to me, just like her quote from Mother Teresa was very fitting for this organization, so is this one.
And Kari, now you brought Cards for Kids in a way out to Arizona. It's a far away from Chicago. One of the big connections that you have with Cards for Kids is that you share this, we were talking about it earlier, an epileptic connection with Ike Wankwo, the founder of Cards for Kids. Can you go into that a little bit and tell your story?
Yeah. I've been epileptic. I'm a 26-year vet of epilepsy. I just actually had a seizure this past Monday. So epilepsy is very, very real. It's very it doesn't go away. It can for some people, which is awesome. If it does, it's such a blessing. But there are some people that we're gonna live with it for the rest of our lives, and that's okay too. But when you find people who are epileptic as well, it's kind of like, you're my people, you understand what I'm going through. So when you find someone like Ike who has taken something like epilepsy and put this loving, positive spin on it, it's so beautiful because he wanted to take something that was meant to hurt him. And it's very similar to what I do. It's something that was meant to hurt me, and I put it in my quiver. It can't hurt me anymore because every time I have a seizure, I get to find the blessing in it. And every time, like when he had his operation, when he had what he went through, he was like, wait, I got to find a way to bless everybody. And this is the beauty about Cards for Kids. So where, like, I've had epilepsy since I was 18, there's no reason that I should have it. So I truly see mine as a gift from God. And I honestly see, just like I see Cards for Kids as a gift from God, like there are reasons that we have certain struggles in our life, and it's not to bring us down. It's truly so we can bless others. And when we see those struggles as a blessing, not a struggle, then we can truly help others in it. And that's what I see epilepsy as. So like even getting connected with Cards for Kids during all of this and bringing them to the burn center. And even when I was at the burn center, oh my goodness, the burn was the most painful thing I had ever gone through. It was on my hand. Um, Most painful thing I'd ever gone through. But I have to say, the burn center, they were amazing. All of the nurses, all of the doctors, everybody there was just amazing. I will absolutely sing their praises all my life. And I would send everybody there. And like, it was, I've never had such a great experience at a hospital or at any kind of, care facility. And I was there, it took me 2.5 years to get my hand back, like to get the motion in my hand. And they were exactly what I needed. So, I mean, just the struggles with epilepsy, just to have a seizure and then the things that could come out of it, it could be anywhere on the spectrum from, I busted my lip to I burned my hand, it could literally go from 0 to 100. But when you can find the blessing in it, and the blessing for me was being at the burn center and meeting all of these incredible doctors and nurses and then connecting them to Cardz for Kidz, it just, the blessing kept going and going and going.
I'm so sorry that you had to go through all those things. And I think it is amazing that you had the support that you did. I talked about this with EK himself in the previous podcast, how there are so many people out there who go through things like that, and then they kind of forget about it. They just move on with their life, up and onto other things. But it's so amazing that you're out there remembering it and giving back to it and using it as a purpose. And we have somebody in here who gives a perspective that we don't really see every day. Somebody who works on that front line in the hospital. Kyla, you work in a hospital, you see these kinds of things on a daily basis. Can you talk about just the difference that you see, the things that Cardz For Kidz does in all the kids' lives in that hospital?
Yeah, it's just amazing how uplifting it can be for the families, when we're able to hand them that card. And first of all, they're surprised, like, what is it? And they open it and like, wow, somebody took the time to really show that they care about me and what I'm going through. And then not only that, it's not, from a local school or something. It's like we get cards from all over the country and different places. They're like, oh my gosh, we got one from Minnesota or one from a different state. So you're like, oh my gosh, how far is this reaching? And it's great for the families, and it really helps them just, to have that moment of stepping back and people are thinking about me and care about me. But it's great even for the staff too, because when we get the new delivery of the cards, we'll kind of look through them and look at this one and look at this one. It's so cute. And then even the staff, they love delivering it to the patients, and it makes them feel uplifted and great that they're able to provide that and something just to provide a smile for their patients. Especially recently, it's been really challenging with all the COVID precautions and everything. So the kids, all the patients are a lot more isolated because they're not able to socialize in the activity rooms that we used to. So they're spending a lot more time in their room. So just having that card and that extra cheer is really, really helpful. And I did get approval from EK one time because we do have a pretty full COVID unit during time. So we actually approved it with EK to actually have those cards. They went to our food service department and they went on all the trays for the people with COVID. So especially for them, because they weren't even allowed visitors at all. So that was such a great, just to feel like a connection to somebody outside of their room and just to really get that uplifting thought. And it really helps their spirits to stay true and not feel so down and stuck on the negatives, but really to see some positive and feel the caring from people all around the country.
For sure.
That personalized touch definitely is one of the biggest factors in the card. I feel like that is the biggest reason of what makes that card so significant to the person that's getting it. Kyla, do you have any stories of you or somebody that you know, a time where you delivered a card that really stood out to you? I'm sure you have many stories of it, but do you have any instances that stuck out of either you or a coworker delivering a card that was so impactful?
Gosh, it's hard. I think there's somewhere, the patient loves Mickey Mouse, and there is a Mickey Mouse on the card. You're able to find the one that just fits that personality right. But recently we actually have a patient who has been here for a very, very long time. So, pretty frequently we'll, go in and pop in and give a card. So it's actually to the point where she's kind of strung them along. So it decorates her room with, her collection of cards that she's gotten. And some of them are so creative, and they have like little origami and things that pop out. And so we've actually used that kind of as something to like try to figure out how they do it. So now we have a craft to work on with the kids and be like, okay, let's see how they did this, and make our own thing. So it kind of provides some entertainment, some activity for the patients as well. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing how creative some of the cards are, and really just have things that pop out, and just the jokes, you can just go through and like tell the jokes to everybody, and it's great. It's really brings a lot of smiles and cheer.
Some of those cards look professionally done. It surprises me to see some of those cards, because I mean, I know what I can do. And to be quite honest, it's not that much. I can do stick figures. I can make some puns, some jokes, but some of those cards, they look like they were made by professionals.
Mm-hmm. They do. They're gorgeous.
I agree. But even the ones that aren't, if you don't have that much art skill or whatever, I mean, just a message and knowing that somebody cares is so important. And the impactful thing for us too is that we're able to get cards in Spanish. So we do have a pretty significant population that speaks Spanish. So it's great that Cardz For Kidz is able to offer different languages to really meet the needs that we serve.
Absolutely. So for my next question, I'm going to give both of you a crack at it. We'll start with Kari. There are countless not-for-profit organizations out there, so many of them that do such great things. What is it about Cardz For Kidz that separates itself from other not-for-profit organizations out there?
Okay. Well, for me personally, it's the common connection. It's the fact that the guy who started it and I have something in common. I mean, Ike and I share, we share epilepsy. We share a common story. And when I read his story, it was like, other than the surgery, because I've never had brain surgery, it was like I was reading my story. And from that, and like I've always tried to use my epilepsy in a positive way. And for him to do the same thing, it just tugged at my heart. And I was like, oh, this guy right here, I have to get to know him. I have to help him. I have to do whatever I can to help this organization, because, that's my heart. That's what I do. And so when I actually started talking to him, it was like kindred spirits, we just were two peas in a pod. And the fact that we were both battling epilepsy, the fact that we were both didn't let it overtake who we were and overtake like our joy, but we were fighting against it. And we were like, it was just the fact that we were letting our joy and our love for people and our love for helping people and our love for bringing smiles to other people's faces overcome whatever was happening to us personally, that we both had that in us. There was no chance I wasn't gonna help in any way that I could, or associate myself in any way that I could with this organization. And the fact that, okay, so I'm a wee bit of a I love to be organized, like insanely organized. And then when I saw the website and how like he laid out, this is what you do if you're setting up a team building event and you want to do this, and everything was so organized. Everything was so laid out. I was like, oh, this is an organization after my own heart right here. It was so nicely laid out. It was so like, even like to the point where if you need a shopping list, here's a shopping list. If you need this, here's this. It was like, it was beautiful. I absolutely loved it. It was like if I had set up a website, which I can't do, that would be the website that I did.
I feel like right now I have to give a shout out to David Harrison, the VP of Cardz For Kidz, because he is an absolute perfectionist. He makes everything from the podcast to the website look spotless and beautiful. So shout out David Harrison for that.
Yes. Yes. For all of our OCD, you have done beautifully, sir.
Now, Kyla, same question to you. There are so many not-for-profit organizations out there. I'm sure there are so many not-for-profit organizations partnered with your hospital that do things with your hospital. But what is it about Cardz For Kidz that stands above the rest that really makes it stand out?
I think a lot of it has to do with the passion of the people who are involved with it. And I know EK is so passionate about it and just how he's making it grown and he wants it to be successful. It's not just something that like you check off your list and you're done with it and you pass it off to somebody else, but it's something that he's really passionate about and really puts a time and effort into helping it succeed and making it grow. So even as far as, we started off with the cards, I think in 2016, but it's also grown to the point where he is able to provide portable video game systems, which we received one of those from Cardz For Kidz, which is amazing. So it's portable, it's preloaded with different games, so you don't have to worry about losing the discs or anything like that. And then we're able to take it to those kiddos so they have some entertainment at their bedside. So I think, and it's just a story of how it's grown from, one hospital in Chicago to all over the country to all, different places in the world. Is just impressive. And that's really because of, his passion and his desire to make that better. And I think that other thing that makes it so amazing too is how, and like Kari said, how easy it is, how well set it up it is, but it's such a great opportunity for other people to get involved in it. It's not something that you have to have a lot of skill or time or energy, but it's really something that everybody is capable of doing, and it's a great team building activity or things to get people together and really feel like they're making an impact and helping others.
Absolutely. The simplicity of the idea really makes it's easy to grasp, easy to understand, and easy to execute. With that being said,
Absolutely.
I'm sure that there are many people listening to this podcast right now who are on the fence. They don't know if they're going to make cards. They don't know if they should volunteer or not. So I want each of you to give your best sales pitch to anybody out there listening who is on the fence. And Kyla, we'll start with you for this one. What is your best sales pitch to somebody out there who just isn't sure?
Well, let's see. If anybody can put themselves in other people's shoes and just imagine what it's like being in the hospital, and especially as a child in a hospital, so you're scared, you're not having your regular things around you, not your food, your comfort items, things like that. So really, people want to give back and help their communities, really just putting a smile on the face of a child, especially when in the hospital, seems like one of the best things that you could do, just to realize that you're helping others and also to feel good about what you're doing to give back to the community.
And Kari, same question to you. Your best sales pitch to somebody who's just on the fence.
Okay. Well, it is the best organization to get involved with. Because especially if you're just making cards, and the reason is because you can literally make them while you're watching TV. You can make them while you're sitting at home. You can grab a bunch of friends and make them and have like a group a friend night and make a bunch of them. And it's the easiest way to spread love. And all of the instructions are written out for you of what not to do, what to do. Everything is spelled out for you. So it's really like minimal effort, minimal thinking. And it's probably the easiest, fastest, best organization you could be a part of, and you don't have to really think about it. It's all laid out for you.
I want to thank Kari, Reith, and Kyla Brown so much for taking the time out of the day today to come and get interviewed. We really appreciate it, and I was very happy with talking with both of you today.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much.
And with that, this episode of the Cardz For Kidz podcast has come to an end. Thank you for listening. I encourage you all again to check out our company website, Instagram, Facebook, all social media to learn more about us and what we do. My name's David Egloff, and I'll talk to you next time.